All right, so the North Node and the South Node. So whether you're looking at your birth chart or you're looking at the transits, it is important to understand what they represent. A lot of times in astrology, where we don't talk a lot about the nodes, or maybe, especially if you're just learning astrology, you know about your sun or your moon or your Venus or your rising, but we don't always talk about the North Node, South Node. They are important because the North Node is your karmic and spiritual purpose. It is what you are supposed to be attaining to, and it's going to be in a particular sign. Does not mean that you become that sign. I'll talk about that in a moment. The South Node is representative of the past life. Now, you do not have to believe or have any ideology about past lives to still gain insight from your North and South Node. And in fact, once you learn about what your South Node sign is and what the traits are and what the life of a person with that South Node would have been like in the past, you might even start to gain more insight about past lives, or understand it, at least say, like, I can really relate to the fact that my South Node says I lived a life where I was obsessed with power, or I was obsessed with control, or, I had to always have my emotions in check. But now my North Node is saying I don't have to do that. My North Node is saying I need to focus more on my own personal power. I need to focus more on myself. I need to focus more on empowering others, not taking. So that's an example of the South Node, North Node dynamic, right? It's the South Node is what you had to do in the past. It's what you had to be. And you mastered those default traits, which is why they might naturally come to you. Whereas the North Node is what you need to attain to. And the South Node is what you're going to try to hold on to. You're going to hold on to those traits. Your South Node in Aries, you're going to hold on to independence. Doesn't mean you're in Aries. Maybe you are in Aries with the South Node in Aries. But if you're South Node in Aries, you're going to try to hold on to being independent and always doing things on your own. Or maybe you do things you don't really think about involving other people, even if it involves them, because you just go with your instincts. You're used to doing things by yourself. You want people to notice you by yourself, right? You might have more of an ability to do things alone, but you notice that sometimes they don't pan out. Like, people aren't happy that you did that, or you don't get the attention or the recognition that you wanted, because your North Node is actually in Libra. So when your North Node is in the opposite sign, that means you have to actually start focusing on partnerships. You need to learn how to work with others. You will see that you actually might be more powerful with others. Okay. Now here's the thing. And this is a small example, right? I would go more in detail in someone's birth chart, but if someone is a South Node in Aries, North Node in Libra, you're going to focus on the attributes of Libra we need to attain to, because we've already mastered that South Node in Aries. We have to kind of break free from that. Doesn't mean we can't ever tap into our innate abilities, because you do need to be independent in life sometimes. Even if you are a person that's cooperative and you work well with others, you still need to be independent, right? But the point is, your focus is North Node Libra. Now, if somebody's North Node is in Aries and the South Node is in Libra, well, now they need to stop being so codependent. They need to stop worrying about always needing somebody along for the ride, and really get their own inner confidence to be and strike out on their own. This might be a person that really thrives off leaving the nest earlier, leaving their home and setting up their own, having their own business, or their own, place, or their own vision, and just really driving towards that and not worrying about, I need somebody along with me. That's that North Node in Aries. Doesn't mean you don't get into a relationship. It doesn't mean you don't value partnership ever. It just means that you need to tap more into what makes you independent. You're learning how to be independent, and that's going to make you feel more free. What's going to make you more comfortable is your South Node. We are always going to feel more comfortable with our South Node because those are things we've already mastered. And if it makes you feel uncomfortable to talk about past lives, just talk about the past. Just think about the past, your past, right? Even if it's just your life now. The South Node traits are going to feel more comfortable. You're going to default to those, especially when things get tough. We usually default to our South Node traits because that's all we know. The North, but if we want to actually learn from our lessons and gain in life, we actually need to look at our North Node traits and attain to those, because that's going to solve the problem more in the long term. Whereas our South Node traits are going to, they're pretty much going to, be there for us, and we're going to use them, but they don't really solve the problem in the long term, because we're actually supposed to attain to our North Node traits and really learn how to not just live in comfort, but actually how do we live our higher purpose by doing what's necessary, by doing what might be unfamiliar. But then once we master that, we're going to see that that works a lot better for us than our South Node traits. All right, so this video, this little clip, I'm not going to go into detail about what each placement means at this moment. I just want to show you in a birth chart reading, this is what it would look like to look at a north node. For the north node, it looks kind of like old school headphones, right? If I would explain what it looks like. So this person, sample person, would have north node in Aquarius, and the opposite of that is south node. So south node in Leo. Leo is the opposite sign of Aquarius. So the north node is always going to be, the south node of the north node is always going to be the opposite sign, okay? And also, it's also going to be in the opposite house. So what this means is if the north node, which we have to look at first, the north to determine the south. If the north node is in first house, well, then the south node has to be in the seventh house, right? Because the seventh house is the opposite house of the first house. Just like if north node shifted, this person was born at a different time, and their north node was still in Aquarius, it would be in the if it was in the second house, it would be in the eighth house, which is the opposite house of the second. Okay, now, it does not mean in a birth chart that the north node is always first. In some people's birth charts, the south node is going to show up first, and then the north node shows up. So the south node and north node is not a rule to what order it goes in your chart. Your goal is to remember the north node is the purpose, the south node are the default or past traits that we're trying to shed in order to reach enlightenment. All right, so the north node in Leo person. Okay, north node in Leo. You have to allow yourself to shine. Like whatever your talents or abilities are, allow those to peek through, because you are supposed to accept attention. You're supposed to accept when people are trying to give you praise. And coming from a south node in Aquarius, you're used to being a part of a group. And if you're like, that doesn't resonate with me, think about the past life. And I know like some people believe in that and they don't, but your default trait is falling back into a group, falling back into who you're associated with. And you might be doing great things, but it's always attributed to a group, or you're comfortable with that because then you don't have to get the limelight, right? Because what Aquarius is really trying to do, Aquarius is trying to move society forward. That's their main goal. That's the Aquarius energy. It's not about, now again, you have to understand the Aquarius energy. It's moving people forward, but it's not always it's not an emotional, it's not Pisces, right? So the south node in Aquarius person often does things in a very logical way, and then when they express something, it's like, well, this had to be done, and so because of that, you sometimes disconnect from taking praise from other people. Where north node and Leo people, you're learning how to showcase your talents and your abilities. You're learning how to be known for you. And south node in Aquarius, you were known for who you were a part of, or you were known for something in particular. But the north node and Leo people, you have to learn about self. And yes, Leo energy is sometimes linked to this concept of ego, right? And by ego is simply Leo's confidence and awareness of who they are, and what they deserve. And because for some people, they can't get away with that. Now, south node in Leo, South node in Leo is learning to stop worrying just about themselves and give back to the collective and be a part of something bigger than themselves. But the north node in Leo person has already done that. You've already given back, whether in their past life or this lifetime. You've already given back, or you've already done for others. You've already been known by association. You've already done those things behind the scenes. But there might be talents. There's things that you're hiding or not showing other people. Or you're more comfortable being a part of a group. You're more comfortable being part of a cause. You might feel more comfortable because now you don't have to put yourself out there. But the north node of Leo is saying you actually need to learn what your talents are. If you're a north node of Leo and you're like, well, I don't know what I'm good at, you need to figure that out, because there's a reason that you have that north node. You're here to learn how to showcase what you are good at, or showcase your personality. And like when you think about Leo energy, it could be anything. It could be a comedian. It can mean it could be somebody who's just very known for their personality. It could be creativity. It could be someone who's really good with some type of art. Or drawing, or they have some type of creative ability, whatever that is, because under the bucket of creativity, there's a lot of different things. And I don't want to put just some things in a box. You know what I mean? What I'm saying is Leo energy shines. So whatever that person is usually good at, when you see a Leo energy person, whatever they're good at, typically you see it, and it could mean anything, but the sun shines with Leo on Leo. The sun rules Leo. So your North Node in Leo is telling you that you need to find what you're good at and find ways to illuminate that. Now, again, you would have to look at what house it's in your chart, because that can change what area of your life you're going to see that North Node have the most impact. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it is more about you understanding and also celebrating, being happy. Aquarius North Node in the past, you might have spent so much time giving back to a certain cause or trying to solve a certain problem, or, being overly logical that you missed out on fun or you missed out on enjoyment. Okay. So, because Aquarius is about solving problems. Like, they like that. They thrive on that. And the South Node Aquarius person might have been put in a position where they constantly felt they had to solve problems, or they had to solve society's problems, or they had to, maybe not society, maybe just whoever they were around, whoever was a part of their community. They had to solve these issues or these problems, or they had to be down for whatever this person wanted them to do. And they fell within that. And that might have worked at that point in that past life, or that past that worked at that point in time. But now it's like, you might have lost yourself within that. And so in order to really find true spiritual enlightenment, you have to showcase yourself. And a lot of people sometimes worry, especially if you have other elements in your chart where you're a humble person. You might be worried. You're like, well, I don't want to be egotistical, or I don't want to be like that, or I don't want to come off like I'm showing off. But you're not going to, because your North Node is in Leo. That's you doing your spiritual purpose. Your North Node. So yes, certain placements might have to worry about that. If you have Mars in Leo, or you have other placements where, depending on where it is in your chart, things can get out of hand with egotism, right? Like, let's be honest here. But North Node is your purpose. It's what you're supposed to be attaining to. And what's going to happen is you do all that you default to staying in the background, or just solving problems, or just being logical, and psyching yourself out of like, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to be seen that way. So I'm going to fall back, or I'm going to let this person take the shine. A South Node Aquarius people in the past, like, you let a lot of other people take credit for your work, or you let other people shine, and you just kind of was like, no, it's all right. That's not my thing anyway. But when your North Node is in Leo, that is your thing. And you are supposed to really find what you're good at, and whatever that is, put it to the forefront. And you might not think it's a big deal, but others might, because wherever Leo is, people are going to pay attention to it. You don't even have to be a Leo. Whatever's going on in your chart with Leo, once we see Leo, we're now thinking attention, and that people are going to see what you're doing. People are going to look at what you're doing. And so North Node Leo people, you're learning that confidence in yourself, not just confidence in an ideology, not just confidence in a belief system, not just confidence in your intelligence, not just confidence in who you're around, not just confidence in what you're a part of. You're finding the ways to shine in your confidence in you, and being known for you, and being known for something very intentional, right? It's not just, I don't want people to think they have to be Leo, because there's stereotypes about every sign, right? And so sometimes people are like, oh, Leo's are egotistical, show offs, and they brag. First of all, you know me, I love Leo energy, and I've many reasons why. 2 placements in Leo. Also, I just love Leo energy, and like, my dad was a Leo, so I have a lot of just like, I really vibe well with Leo energy. So personally, I know that there's more to it than just the stereotypes. Now, can someone be the worst side of Leo? For sure, they definitely can. And so I don't think you have to worry about that. I'm not saying become the stereotype of Leo as a North Node in Leo, because you're not becoming a Leo. You're simply approaching life in a way in which you are taking that ideology of confidence, of allowing whatever you are to shine. Allow yourself to shine. Allow yourself to step onto the forefront, because you're actually probably going to be surprised at how many people gravitate towards you. Okay. And it's interesting, because there might be other areas of your life where you don't shine, but when you find that one thing that you're good at, or that thing to illuminate about yourself. And again, it could simply be your personality. But for some people, it's more specific, where you're like, well, I've always wanted to do this, or I'm really good at this, but nobody knows about it. Or it might be a good example would be somebody who is a part of a music group or a band, or, some type of group, whatever. And they're really the talent, right? So they're South Nodes and Aquarius. So they're comfortable being a part of a group of singers, or a group of rappers, or a group of whatever, musicians. They're comfortable with that, but they're really the talent, but they're afraid to strike out on their own. So they stay back in this group because they're like, well, I'm doing this. This is my homies. You know, I've been friends with them since I was younger, and like whatever the case may be. But actually, you're the star and you should be, I'm not saying ditch your friends, but you know what I mean? Like, you got to live your purpose at the end of the day. Because when you're North Node and Leo, you have to be about yourself. You do. You have to learn to stop being so attached to being a part of something, right? And letting that drive your personality and really be like, this is who I am. This is what I'm good at. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to give to everybody. This is what I am. And accept compliments, accept praise. You're coming from a place where you're used to like working so much behind the scenes or being overly logical or being known for those things. And I'm not saying being known for logical intellect is not what you should do. I'm always going to praise intellect. I'm always going to praise logic. I'm always going to praise those things. But you're here to shine. And it's really your chart, and it's up to you to determine what that is that you shine in, and accept when people give you attention, accept when people are open, accept when people like you, accept it, and learn to not just attribute what you're good at to somebody else. Take that in and be okay with who you are. And that's what I would say about the North Node in Leo, South Node in Aquarius, is like really releasing that attachment to ideologies and people and causes and groups and having to solve problems all the time, and really allow yourself to shine, because as a default, you've already done that work.